These are actual differences between the Galaxy S8 and the iPhone X. The Galaxy S8 comes with the AKG headphones, which are supposedly better than normal headphones, which used to be included in the past. But I found the sound from these headphones sound a bit tinny, but the quality seems quite good, and the cable is also braided from the bottom onwards, and it also has a standard plug. The iPhone X comes with the usual iPhone headphones, but the end is lightning instead of the standard audio. But they also include a audio adapter, so in case you want to use your traditional headphones, you can use this adapter connected to the lightning port. But some people said that the audio quality is less good than as if from a built-in audio port such as on the iPhone 6, but it's good that you have at least the option to do that. Also, the charge and sync cable of the iPhone is about 1 meter and is in white color. The advantage if it's in white color is that it's easier to see when it's in dark places, and it also looks quite good in the beginning, but the disadvantage is over time the white color will get a bit yellowish, and also the cable will get dirty over time, so it won't keep its white color. So the Galaxy cable is in black color, and it's also slightly longer than the iPhone cable. The Galaxy cable is a bit over 1 meter, so probably 1.2 meter, and the color is black plastic, so you won't see the dirt over time. And it seems also slightly more rigid than the iPhone cable, which seems more smooth. And the port is a USB-C port here. And other than that, the Samsung also includes a micro USB to USB-C adapter, so you can use a standard micro USB cable to charge the phone, and they also include a on-the-go USB-C adapter so that you can connect external devices to your Samsung Galaxies, such as external keyboard or external mouse. However, I haven't used the USB host because most peripherals now use Bluetooth to connect to the phone, so you don't really need a USB host anymore. But in theory, you can connect also external memory sticks to the USB host, so you can connect it directly with the phone. Also, the charger of the Galaxy is a fast charger, so it will charge quicker than a standard phone charger. The design of the power adapter could be slightly better compared to the iPhone power adapter, which looks a bit more sleek. However, it's not a fast charger, it's a standard 5-watt charger at 1 amps, whereas the Galaxy charger will charge at 2 amps. So charging on the Galaxy will probably take around 1.5 hours from 0 to full, whereas the iPhone will take around 3 hours using the standard included power adapter, but you have the option to use a fast charger, which you can purchase separately, as to charge the phone in much less time, similar to the Galaxy. But that you have to purchase separately. Next thing you notice when you pick up the Galaxy is that it's completely flat. So on the back, the camera doesn't protrude, whereas the iPhone 10, the camera will protrude on the back. And this is like that since the iPhone 6. That's what I like about the iPhone 5. It was flush on the back and it had a cleaner design. Second thing you notice on the Galaxy is that the screen is curved. So not only the glass is curved, but the actual OLED screen is curved. When you view the phone, the screen actually displays also on the side, which makes it look very futuristic, but in real life it might hinder the operation of the phone. For example, when you hold it in your hand, it's very easy to go against the side of the screen and you might get input onto the screen which you didn't intend to. That doesn't happen with the iPhone because the iPhone doesn't has a curved display, so you won't when you hold it in your hands you won't accidentally touch something with the palm of your hand, where the Galaxy you often will go against the screen unintentionally, so you might select something that you didn't want to select, and that could hinder the normal use of the phone display. What I find is good on the Galaxy is that you have a virtual back button and home button on the bottom of the screen, which you don't have on the iPhone. So it's easy to go back not only through web pages but also in programs. You always have a back button here on the right corner of the screen, whereas on the iPhone you don't really have that. But you have a back button on the left side, but it's also only inside apps but not in the whole operating system. And also many times on in the iPhone apps, the back button is in the top left corner, so sometimes it can be difficult to reach, whereas the on the Galaxy is always on the bottom right corner, so it's easy to operate it with your thumb. Also, the weight of the Galaxy is a bit lighter than the iPhone 10, even though it has quite a big screen, and both are splash proof, except the Galaxy has a IP68 rating, whereas the iPhone has a IP67. So the Galaxy might be able to stay slightly longer underwater compared to the iPhone. What I also noticed is the screen of the Galaxy is much more saturated. That means that the colors are a lot more stronger, which may look nicer on a small screen, but it's not very accurate, such as from the iPhone. The iPhone has a much more accurate color representation. So unless you like very strong colors which don't really match the reality, you either prefer the Galaxy, but if you want a more accurate representation of colors, then you probably prefer the iPhone screen. The Galaxy has the volume button on the left side, the same like on the iPhone, and it also has a Bixby button to launch Bixby. However, nobody really uses Bixby and it's not really as functional as Samsung intended it to be, but you can disable the Bixby button on the side, such as most people have, because it's easy to accidentally press the button without wanting to. The iPhone has a dedicated mute button on the left side and the Galaxy doesn't. So to mute the phone on the Galaxy, you just have to lower the volume to the minimum until the mute sign appears. Whereas the iPhone, you just have to slide the button down here and it will be immediately muted. Also, the Galaxy has the SIM slot on the top over here, whereas the iPhone has it on the side, on the right side. And the advantage of the Galaxy is that the SIM slot actually has two SIM trays, which you either can use for two nano SIM cards or one nano SIM card and another micro SD card, a memory card. But I use it for two SIM cards, but you need to keep in mind that only one SIM card can be used for data, so only one can be used for internet, and the top SIM card here only can be used with the number, so you can be reached or you can call using that number or you can send SMS, but you won't be able to use the data feature of this card in case you have. So if you use the data card with internet, you need to put it in the SIM1 tray, which is the bottom one here. Furthermore, now the difference between the Galaxy and the iPhone is that the Galaxy actually has two microphones which you can use for recording. In my case, I use it for video recording. And the iPhone only has one microphone down here which can be used for video recording, but actually it also has another microphone on top here, but somehow that seems only to be used as noise cancelling feature to prevent exterior noise from interfering with the phone call, but it cannot be used as a stereo microphone for video recording. So that's why to make video recordings I prefer using the Galaxy, because it has stereo microphones for recording. So as you can see, there's one microphone on top here on the top right corner, and the other microphone is down below near the speakers down here. So when you record video, it has a stereo effect. And I think the microphone on the Galaxy seem to be louder than those from the iPhone. The iPhone, you need to keep the microphone right next to your voice so that the sound is audible, but with the Galaxy you can keep the phone further away and it's still very clearly audible. Also, the Galaxy has a health app which also allows you to measure your heart rate. So to measure the heart rate, you just go to the Samsung Health app and click measure, and then you can place your finger on the sensor here beside the flash, and then the sensor will measure your heart rate after a few seconds. The iPhone doesn't has a heart rate built in, but there are third-party apps which allow you to use the flash to measure your heart rate. And while we are at the health section, I've noticed that on the Galaxy, the steps seems to regularly be much higher than that of the iPhone. For example, here on the same day, I used both phones I had with me. On the Galaxy, it says 15,800 steps, whereas on the iPhone, it shows only 14,200 steps. So, and that's not only one time, but regularly the Galaxy shows about 20% more steps taken than on the iPhone. So I don't know which one is correct, but I'm more inclined to think that the iPhone is more accurate also in the distance. As you can see, the Galaxy says I walked 11.9 kilometers, whereas the iPhone says I walked 9.3 kilometers. I don't know which one is right. Okay, so in the Galaxy you can do split screen with apps. You can view two apps in one screen. However, I never really used it because I don't know how it works. You're supposed to tap on the app switcher, and then if you tap on this icon, then it's supposed to be in split screen, but I only get here the app switcher. Oh, here you have the split screen. So, oh, this is how it works. So you can view a video while you are browsing the web, for example. So you can open two apps at a time on the screen, whereas on the iPhone you only can open one app at a time. Also, videos on the Galaxy are much bigger than that on the iPhone. So the iPhone has a better compression algorithm than that of the Galaxy because they are much smaller. Also on the Galaxy you get a warning, a low battery warning at 15%, whereas on the iPhone you get one at 20% and one at 10%. Also, some apps are different on the Galaxies and the iPhone. For example, the Dropbox app on the Android is not as good as the Dropbox app on the iPhone. Somehow, I think developers prefer to make apps for the iPhone, perhaps because it's easier to program or there are more people purchasing apps on the iPhone. So therefore, they invest more time in developing iPhone apps. So generally speaking, the iPhone apps look much better and are more functional on the iPhone instead of the Galaxy. Also, the Galaxy only has one speaker below, whereas the iPhone 10 has two speakers, one up here and one below. So you have stereo sound on the iPhone. The Galaxy allows you to charge the phone while it's switched off. What I mean is that you can shut down the phone completely and charge it while it's off. Whereas on the iPhone, when you shut down the phone and you want to charge it, the phone will start booting up again. Whereas on the Galaxy, the phone can switch off completely and you can charge it without that it starts booting up. So the advantage of that is if you really want to charge the phone as quickly as possible, you can shut down the phone completely so it won't use any power like this, and then you can charge the phone much quicker because it doesn't use any power, and then after when it's fully charged you can boot up again. And you cannot do that with the iPhone because the iPhone will automatically boot up when you connect it to power, even though you shut down before. If the display of the one of the screens get wet, for example, if you are using the phone outside while it's raining, the Galaxy seems to do a better job at recognizing wet fingers. So if the display is wet and you are trying to use the screen, I think the Galaxy does a good job in still recognizing your finger. Whereas with the iPhone in the past, when the display got some water on top of it, it can be sometimes inaccurate while operating the screen with your fingers. So in that case, the Galaxy might have an advantage. Also, when launching the YouTube app on the Galaxy, the screen will brighten considerably. So when you are watching it in a dark room and suddenly have a very, very bright screen, it can be slightly too bright for your eyes. So you have to manually turn down the brightness of the screen. Whereas on the iPhone, when you launch YouTube, the screen brightness remains the same. So I prefer it on the iPhone. On the back, the Galaxy has a fingerprint sensor, which works quite fast under ideal conditions. But if your fingers are slightly wet, then it won't recognize your fingerprint. So sometimes you'll have to dry your finger first before you put it on the fingerprint. The iPhone has Face ID, which you might think is slightly slower than a fingerprint, but it is more reliable. There are more times that the Face ID will work faster because you don't have to look for the fingerprint sensor, and even if your fingers are wet, you still can use Face ID, and it's more reliable. So in this case, the iPhone seems faster in real world experience. What is good on the Galaxy, they have a notification light in the left up corner, and on the iPhone, you don't have that kind of notification light, which can be useful, like when you have a missed call, or you get an email, or you get an other kind of message. You can set the Galaxy to notify you with the notification lamp. Also, a difference in the design is on the back of the iPhone, you won't see any kind of other logos except the iPhone logo. Other than that, you will see no inscription for any kind of other companies. Whereas on the Galaxy, you see the common inscriptions like from Samsung, as well as regulatory logos, I assume, which have to do with electronic devices. So on the iPhone, it looks much cleaner without any of those inscriptions. What I also like on the Galaxy is that in the home screen, when the phone is off, you can set to put the time and date and battery level even when you're not using the phone. On the iPhone, you don't have that option. The screen only will light up when you lift the phone, or when you look at it, or when you want to unlock it. But if it's standing steady on your desk, you don't have the option to display only the time and date, which is actually a good option on the Galaxy. And it won't take much battery because this is a OLED screen. If it would be a LCD screen like on previous iPhones, it makes sense to save battery life. But since the iPhone 10 has OLED, it would be a good option to have the time and day display, because it will only light up the necessary dots on the screen, and like that the black is actually off, so it will take a minimal amount of battery life. Also, the Galaxy has wireless charging such as the iPhone 10, except the Galaxy has fast wireless charging. So instead of 5 watt wireless charging, the Galaxy can charge at 7.5 watt. So it charges slightly faster than the iPhone 10 while using a wireless charger. And while charging, the Galaxy will actually tell how many minutes left until it's fully charged, whereas the iPhone won't tell the remaining minutes. When you make a screenshot on the Galaxy, there's a slight lag. So to make a screenshot, you press the power button and the volume down button, and you notice this 1 or 2 second lag when you make a screenshot. Whereas on the iPhone, you make a screenshot, you press the power button and the volume up button, but there's no lag because it's immediately. So immediately you press the two buttons together, it makes a screenshot. So the iPhone is quicker for making screenshots. What I like on the Galaxy is the keyboard has a dedicated number row, so you can immediately type in numbers while also typing letters. Whereas on the iPhone, there's no number key. You have to first press the number key and then you have the numbers, but then you don't have the letters. So and you either choose one or the other, but you cannot have both on the same screen. So in that point, the Galaxy is more comfortable. In the camera app also, when you set the timer in the Galaxy, in the camera app, when you want to set the timer, you have to go to settings and set the timer to a specific time, and then go back, and then when you press the button, it will be a timer. So there is a sound cue, but there's no light cue. So when you see it from far, you only can hear the sound of the timer, but you don't see the light. Whereas on the iPhone, to set the timer, you can do it straight from the camera app without going into settings, and then press the timer you want. And then when you press the release button, there's a visual cue. So you can take a picture and you know when it's going to actually release the button. So that's what I like on the iPhone better than the Galaxy. On the Galaxy camera app, however, you can take a video and pause it and then continue whenever you are ready again. You just press the record button and it will continue there where it stopped. Whereas on the iPhone, when you press record, you cannot pause. You have to stop the whole video completely and then it will create a new video if you press the record button again. So in that case, the Galaxy seems more comfortable because you can just continue where you left off without creating a new video file. What's good with the iPhone is that all apps which come from Apple are already pre-installed. Whereas on the Galaxy, many of the apps from Samsung you need to install manually. So several apps such as the music app from Samsung, for example, Samsung Music, it needs to be downloaded first. It's not installed from the factory itself. So I find it much easier to immediately use the iPhone out of the box without downloading additional apps which are actually from the manufacturer themselves. And also on Android, practically each app have their own terms of agreement, whereas on the iPhone, you only have to do it one time, agree to the terms when you set up the phone, and afterwards you don't have to read through or scroll through terms of agreement for every app that you install. On the Android, however, there are so many that you have to agree to the terms to, although it's one operating system for many single installations, even from the same company, from Samsung themselves, you have to agree to separate agreements, which is a bit unnecessary, I would say. And also the icons on the apps folder, especially from the in-house Samsung applications, look very, very basic, almost too basic, whereas the iPhone apps looks much more refined and mature and much more pleasing to look at. Generally speaking, the iPhone seems much more reliable in everyday use. There are less crashes, it works more reliable, and the operating system as well as the apps are more comfortable to use in everyday life. But the Galaxy also has some useful functions which are not available on the iPhone. So that was it. I hope you enjoyed this comparison. Thanks for watching and stay safe.